Hello everybody, Elliot here with your challenge week 2. So hopefully everyone got on really well with their challenges last week. Unfortunately you're all at home, as are we, don't worry, everyone's in the same boat. But either way, we're going to be cracking on with your second challenge week, okay? This is the one done by me, hence the video, and I'm going to be introducing the challenge, the brief, and then any questions you've got you can ask me, Peter or Matt in your sessions this afternoon, okay? So there's week 2, it starts on the 18th of January and it's due in on Friday the 23rd. So the brief, okay, we're working with a company on this. It's a live brief. We're working with a company based in West Bridgford called Studio 20 Interiors. They are a modern interior design firm. They have a showroom which people go in and buy furniture from, and they also offer a design service as a sort of consultancy by which a person may come in and say they want to redo their house, and they suggest a design, choose all the products for them, and then implement that as well. So they actually do the whole project management service as well as some architectural services, okay? So hopefully that sets the scene. What they would like is they would like a sign for their car park, okay? The reason for this is because they're located on a busy high street and it's not really a car park as such. They basically have room for one car to park outside the front. The problem is people don't realise that they can park there, and imagine you're popping into a shop to buy some furniture and you can't park outside. It's probably going to deter you from going in because it means it's awkward and frustrating to get the furniture back out and take it home. You don't want to be walking up the road with it to where your car's parked, okay? So the brief is to design a sign which encourages customers to park outside their shop in the parking space. Now, it needs to be 3,400 by 800 millimeters wide. Bear in mind that this is very, very big, okay? 3.4 meters is quite large. If you think about how tall someone that's 6 foot is only 1.8 meters, so it's extremely big. Why is it so big? Because we need it to be visible to cars that drive past the showroom. So if you've got text on there, it's going to have to be quite big for people to be able to read it as they're driving or walking past. It needs to be produced using appropriate software, ensuring high quality media and files suitable for large scale print. Now, of course, I understand the situation is not ideal. We're all at home and we don't all have access to Adobe, okay? Those of you that do have access to the Adobe suite, please continue to use that as you would in college, okay? I suggest you either produce this on InDesign or Illustrator. Those of you that don't, you can produce it either by hand, using any of the software you may have access to. So you can do it sketching, for example, or you can do it on the sort of Pixlr, the online free versions if you're used to them. Whatever you feel most comfortable with that you have access to is absolutely acceptable, and it will not affect the marking of your work. We all know everyone's in a different position and it's not a problem, okay? So the sort of constraint is it must contain some company branding and utilize the assets provided. So what I've done is I've put an asset folder together which contains high quality images of their logo and projects they've done and their showroom. And these are images I would recommend you use on the actual sign itself. The reason for this is because they're going to be high quality, so that if they were to print your sign, then they will be high quality and it won't be blurry, for example. So this is a live brief. What does that mean? That means you're working for a company, essentially. It's a sort of like a competition, okay? So all of you are going to design a sign, and then one person's project is going to be chosen as a winner, and that's going to be reviewed by a member of the team at Studio 20, along with me, Pete and Matt, okay? And that person's work will then be developed and produced. So what they're going to do is they're going to choose their favourite design. They might develop it a little bit, help it get to professional standard, and then they're actually going to print that and use it outside their shop. The reason this is really important is because it's a really, really good opportunity for you guys to get your work featured in a professional setting, okay? If you come out of college with evidence that your work's been used in industry already, then that's going to put you in really good stead, and it's a great thing to have on your CV, okay? So make sure that your graphics work is as professional as possible for this live brief. A little bit about Studio 20, I've already told you about them. Essentially, they're in the luxury market. That means that they're working in domestic and retail spaces. What that means is they do shop fittings, they also do homes, okay? So people's houses and shops. not just residential but commercial. They're based in West Bridgford. For those of you that don't know where that is, it's just over Trent Bridge near the Nottingham Forest Ground. It's sort of like the posh suburb of Nottingham, okay? Lots of wealthy individuals around there, which is why they're based there, because they're targeting that luxury market. It's in a really sought after location. The local area has loads of sort of nice shops, restaurants and bars, etc. They have lots of sort of expensive brands such as Armani and Versace, because they're trying to appeal to these sort of wealthy clients, okay? If you want to learn more about Studio 20, which you should do, you need to go to their website and their Instagram. The links are at the end of this slideshow, which you can find on the Google Drive folder. So let's just have a little more look at more detail about Studio 20. So the style and market. Remember, it's luxury, okay? So think bling, flashy, global brands, fur and diamonds, okay? These are images from some of their projects and their showroom. As you can see, there's lots of sort of like gold trim, shiny objects, very much luxury vibes, okay? This means that it's sort of spaced out, nothing's crammed in. You've really got to get your head into the luxury market for this. Look at their website and Instagram. It will give you a really good feel for the sort of market they're targeting, okay? Any graphics work you produce needs to reflect this market, so your graphics work should also appeal to that luxury audience. Some of their previous graphics work. So these are examples of posters they've had up in their shop. So this is a recent one they had for a Christmas sale, up to 50% off. As you can see, really big text. This is a really large, I think it's actually an A1 poster. It does say A2 there. Think about A3 is twice the size of A4, A2 is twice the size of that, A1 is twice the size of that, okay? So it's a really, really big poster, and this just is a good example of how little text you need to make something look convincing, okay? They've gone for nice, simple line drawings, a sort of rich red, which is sort of more luxury than the typical red you might associate with Christmas. It's more of a burgundy, sort of communicating that nice premium feel, okay? And this is just an example of some of their style of work. This was displayed inside the store, double-sided poster, so you read up to 50% off when you're coming in, and as you leave they're thanking you for shopping and to follow their social media accounts. Another bit of graphics work, they had another sale on, a flash sale. I think it was just for a day or an afternoon. Look there, 3 till 6 p.m. Key information is displayed. Nice bright colours, in line with their branding with the black and yellow. We'll have a look at their logos and stuff later on, don't worry. And this is just to celebrate their first birthday. Previous graphics work, they've also done a sort of, it's a trifold leaflet, to be fair, trifold leaflet for the Waterside Apartments. These are a new duplex of luxury apartments located just off Trent Bridge, so it's really, really close to their showroom. Hence, they decided to promote their business there, okay? So lots of wealthy people moving into new apartments. I guess their hope is that they're going to be coming to their showroom to buy some new swanky furniture to match their apartments, okay? This gives you a little sort of feel for how they present themselves as a brand and the sort of things they feel like they should communicate. Really good examples of graphics work to give you some inspiration to get you started. Now, looking at their partner brands, these are brands that they have sort of trade accounts with, if you will. That means that they have exclusive access to buy these sorts of products to sell them on to customers. So people like Fendi, Bentley Home and Versace Home, okay? Really, really big posh brands. If you're struggling to get a sense of the sort of style of the luxury market, look up these websites and brands and this should give you more of an idea. Branding, this is their logo and sign outside the shop. So they've got an illuminated sign out the front here. And on the side, they've got this other signage as well. The reason this is really interesting is because you can clearly get a feel for the style of the brand, yeah? The sort of yellow and black represents a kind of luxury feel, if you ask me. And the fact that it's very much simple, plain text, Studio 20 interiors, okay? On everybody's sign, I would like to see evidence of a logo being used. There's a logo, high quality one in your asset folder. It's a square one like this. Where it's located, how big it is, etc. is entirely up to you, but your sign must contain their branding, okay? So it's important to include their logo. So a little bit more about the actual car park. So here you go, there's some images here. This is the front of the showroom from the side. So this is the front here and this is the side view you can see at the top. This is the car parking space we're talking about. So it is very small, it's not a typical car park, which is why they really, really need this sign to communicate to customers that they can in fact pull up on the curb and park right outside the front. Yeah, so the sign's going to go here. Remember, it's 3.5 meters or 3.4 meters by 8.8 meters tall. So it's roughly this sort of size. It's going to be mounted on this fence just here. This is where you can park, and then this is a view out the front of the shop onto the high street. Hopefully this makes it really clear about where your sign's going to be going and what sort of information might be visible. Okay, and if you're struggling with this, just jump onto Google Maps. If you just look them up on Google Maps, you can go into Street View. You can have a little look around. That might give you a better sense of what it's like around the area. So guys, time plan then. You've only got 1 week. Hopefully you're not viewing this video for the first time on Wednesday. Hopefully you viewed it on Monday when it went live. Use your time wisely, okay? It might be worthwhile just creating a quick time schedule to make sure you cover all the content you need to cover. Your time plan might include any of the below: market research, ideation and exploration, etc, etc. I'm not going to read all them out, you guys can read it. So let's just remember now that this is just one sign, okay? It might seem like not a very complicated piece of work. However, there's loads and loads of important factors to consider. It needs to represent their luxury brand and be in line with their existing branding and style. It needs to include their logo. You need to think about what important information needs to go on there. Which images can you use that complement your palettes? What typography you're going to use? Composition, layout, all these things are really important, guys. And as with the challenge weeks, we're trying to sort of communicate a typical project brief you might have in industry. So in that sense, I'm leaving this one really broad and open. So I'm not saying you have to include certain things. The only thing it has to include is the Studio 20 logo, which you'll find in the asset folder. I'm going to show you the links in a minute. And it must also include that it's obviously where people can park, aka park here or something like that, okay? And it's really important that you try and think about what content is essential here. It's all up to you. You've got creative rights over your work, but obviously I'd like to see your development as you go along, and message me, Pete and Matt, as you go with any sort of ideas or help you might require. We're here to help you, okay? Lastly then, the submission requirements. What we need from everyone is 2 documents stated as below. Ideally in a PDF. If you're doing them by hand, then don't worry, you can just take a picture and you can send us a JPEG, alright? That's not a problem. But if you're doing it on the computer, please save it as a PDF. It just makes it much easier to review. So the first document you're going to send us is going to be your final sign, okay? I know it says which measures the same size as stated, which is the 3.8 meters by 3.4 meters by 0.8 meters. However, obviously if you're doing it by hand, I do not expect you to draw something 3.5 meters long. That would be a very large piece of paper, okay? So just make it on an A3 or A4, A3 ideally. And then what we'll do is, if you were to be chosen as a winner and you've done it by hand, we'll work with Studio 20 just to develop your concept a bit further, okay? So that it's suitable to be printed. However, if you're using Adobe, please make sure it's kind of ready to go. That'll just save some work on the other end. So that's the first thing you need, is your final sign. The second thing you need is a supporting document, which must include the below: some mind map ideation, wireframe sketches of composition ideas. What does that mean? That sounds weird, doesn't it? Wireframes, guys, remember we looked at them in my sessions before. It's just a basic layout idea with boxes on, okay? So instead of actually filling it with content, you just have boxes, which is the wireframe part. Okay, and it's just to help you think about the layout of the page. If you've got a 3.4 by 0.8 box, you've got a certain shape you have to fit all your content in. So let's think about the layout and where your content's going to go. So where's the logo going to go? Where's your text going to go? Where are your images going to go? This is the sort of thing you need to be thinking about by drawing it out. These can be done digitally or by hand. They're just really quick sketches of different layouts, okay? Annotation and evaluation of any of your development work as ever, and then a little sort of just a small paragraph, 3 or 4 lines on your justification of your final design. So explain why you've done this and why you've made these decisions. Again, PDF if possible. If not, don't worry. Your work should be titled clearly with your name and Studio 20, okay? I'm not actually 100% sure how you're going to submit those. I'll check with Matt and I'll let you know in the sessions. Last thing, guys, is some useful links, okay? The company website, the company Instagram, Google Maps location, and then lastly, the really important one, we've got the Google Drive folder in here, okay? Within this folder, there's going to be a folder called Assets. I'd like you to use these images on your sign. If you like to put other images on, such as the brands they might be stocking and stuff like that to advertise and promote their services, obviously you can find them as well, but if you're struggling for images which are high quality, make sure you use them in here and get their logo image from the asset folder within the Google Drive. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.